Okay, so today we're talking about living a prosperous life. What does that mean? We're going to get into that today. So first of all, before I go any farther, I want to share with you the definition of prosper. The definition of prosper means to flourish, to succeed, to thrive, to experience favorable results. So when I say the word prosper to you, what do you think about? Take time to answer this question. Pause the video if you have to, but stop and ask yourself, what do I really think about when I hear the word prosper? Because some people think about money, some people think about, prospering in their health. So when we're flourishing, prosper means to prosper mentally, physically, financially, socially, spiritually. So how would your life be different if you were prospering in those areas, if you were succeeding in those areas, if you were flourishing in those areas? What would your life be like? Would it be different than it is right now? And then the second thing to ask yourself is, when you are thinking about what prosper means to you, how does it make you feel? Because before we could talk about prospering and what prospering is and how to prosper in your life, we have to think about what prosper is not. Because this is usually where most people are. This is usually where most people's thoughts hang out, right? So when you're thinking about prosper, let's say that you want to prosper with your health. You want to be a certain vibration in your health, if whatever that looks like for you, that well-being in your physical body, you want to prosper. And when you want to create this prosperity within your body temple, what do you think about the most? Because what most people do is they think about where they are not, meaning I'm not the weight that I want, I'm not the vibrational health that I want, I'm not the flexibility that I want, I'm not the motor ability that I want. And so most people are used to thinking about what they don't want. It's the same with your finances. If you're thinking about, oh, I want to prosper financially, but you're thinking about why you are not prospering, or you're looking at what seems to be reality for you, like a low bank account or a lack of clients, or whatever that looks like for you in your financial prosperity. Maybe your bank account is of a certain level, but you want it to be higher. So when you're thinking about what prosperity is not, you are thinking lack. And that lack is happening in your finances, in your health, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, socially, economically. Where are you prospering on that? And what do you think about in all of those categories? Take some time with this, because if you want to expand in your prosperity, if you want to truly live a prosperous life, this is the key. This is the gold. This is for all the marbles. Stop and ask yourself this question. What do I think about mostly when I think about prospering mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, economically, socially, intellectually? What are your thoughts? What are you constantly talking about? This is what we call our self-talk, right? Oh, I don't have enough money. Oh, I'm not flexible enough. Oh, my relationships aren't good. Oh, I keep attracting the wrong kind of people in my life. See, you're not prospering in those areas because you're concentrating on thinking about the lack of the prosperity that you want in any of those areas. So this is a very easy fix. It's easy. It's easy to do. It's so easy. But here's the rub. Most people won't do it. They won't do it because it takes practice. It takes a daily practice. It takes you paying attention to what your thoughts are on your prosperity levels in each of these areas, and then asking yourself, what am I thinking about this? And then here's, again, the gold ticket for all the marbles. More importantly, how do I feel about this? Remember, you go back and look at any of my videos, and I'm always talking about your feelings. Your feelings are driving the bus of your life. That means wherever you're going in your life, your feelings are taking you there. So if you're not experiencing a prosperous life, if you're not feeling prosperous, the way to change that is to raise your vibration in any of those areas. Now, here's the thing. I want to be very clear on this. Let's say that you are feeling like you're not prospering financially. And so you're looking at your bank account and it's not what you want it to be, or you're looking at a pile of bills and you wish it was different, but you're concentrating on that perceived reality and all your focus is going there. And ask yourself, what are you feeling? I talk to people who are like, they're afraid to open the mail, or they keep throwing the mail in a pile or something. They don't want to look at it. They just don't want to face what they see, in front of them. And so because of this, they're in resistance. And when you're in resistance, remember, you're in that place where you're just like two equal forces opposing each other. And one is pushing and the other is pushing, and they just keep going, and you can't go anywhere. And then what happens? That manifests in the body, because that feeling of dread, that feeling of lack, that feeling of fear, and that feeling of doom and gloom, whatever it is that you're feeling, I don't want to put a name to it, because this practice is all about you discovering you and you putting your feelings and your name to this, the name that you're giving this fear, the name that you're giving this emotion. So what are you feeling when you feel right here? And at first, when you first start practicing this, it can be difficult, because what happens is when you get that feeling, you don't want to feel that. You're like, no, I don't want to think about that. And so you go do something to take your mind off of it. Maybe you'll binge watch your favorite TV show or movie, or you'll go shopping, or, sports, drinking, alcohol, drugs, sex, whatever you're binging on, in order to take your focus off of what you don't want to see, what you don't want to feel, what you are resisting, is actually keeping you from the very thing that you say you want. It's keeping you from that prosperity that you want to create in your life. So the first step is to stop and say, okay, I'm going to do this. How does this make me feel? Now, here's the beautiful part of it. You don't have to stop and go back and say, oh, I think I have this belief about this because X, Y, and Z happened. You don't have to revisit any kind of trauma, any memory of trauma. You don't have to do that. That's not what this work is about. And really, you've already done that work, haven't you? Yes, you've already done that work. You've already experienced that, whatever it was that created this trauma feeling. And then you're being triggered around it right now every time you think about it. So if the trauma is, a lack of prosperity in any area, mentally, physically, financially, socially, intellectually, spiritually, then when you keep visiting that, you're actually keeping yourself like in this small little box, and you're saying, okay, I've hit my ceiling. This is what I believe to be true. And I don't think that, I can do anything else. So every time you hit that ceiling, the fear is triggered in you, and you're feeling like, oh man, this is never going to go away. Why can't I get rid of this? So when you're doing this work, when you're putting this into practice, ask yourself every day, how am I feeling? How do I feel about this? And then pay attention. Allow your feelings to guide you, because that is your soul speaking to you, your inner being, your God self, the love, the light within you is always guiding us. And when you feel the most fear, that is when you are pushing and you are creating the most resistance for the love and light that you are. Because remember, there's only two choices. You either make a choice from love, something that makes you feel wonderful, happy, joyful, or you make a choice from fear, something that is the opposite of happy and joyful and abundant and prosperous. So when you first pay attention and you can, you can realize, are you making your choice from a love-based thought, a love-based feeling, or a fear-based thought and a fear-based feeling? That's the first step for you to start living a prosperous life. The second step is to say, okay, why am I feeling this right now? And then sit down and say, okay, now you can't do this when you're driving in the car or when you're, at work or your focus is being pulled from in other directions. This is a practice. So this is something that you want to do for you because you're saying that you really, really want to lead a prosperous life. If you didn't want that, this video would not have shown up for you. And this is what happens when you put a vibration out there, right? What's a vibration? A vibration is your feelings. When you feel something, it emits a vibration, and that vibration goes out into the universe, and that's a frequency. And then when you are calling back to you what you really want, you say, I'm looking for an answer. So you would not be watching this video right now if you had not put a thought, a feeling, a vibration out into the universe saying, I am looking for an answer. Now, back to the steps. Pay attention to how you're feeling. Now ask yourself, why am I feeling less than prosperous in whatever area that you want to be most prosperous in? What is your belief? What do you think about? Because I'm always talking about mastering your belief. We can always master a belief, right? If you believe, oh, well, I just think that, I'm at that age and my mom and my grandma and my aunts, they're all, having the same kind of health challenges. So it just stands to reason that it's going to happen to me as well. There's nothing you can do about it. It's genetics. What am I going to do? So that is a belief that you have. And what is a belief? A belief is a thought that you think over and over and over and over again. And this is why when people talk about affirmations, an affirmation is something that you say to yourself over and over and over because you are working on creating a new belief. And the thing about affirmations, though, you can't just say, oh, I'm healthy, oh, I'm healthy, oh, I'm healthy, if you're not feeling healthy. If everything around you is saying that you're not healthy and you're not feeling healthy, you can say those words all day long. So you have to get to the point where you're feeling that prosperity that you're looking for. Is that making sense to you? Stop and think about that. Ask yourself, wow, am I really feeling the prosperity? Okay, so I see that my mom has this challenge, this health challenge, and my aunts and everything. Does that really mean that this is going to happen to me as well? And then the next question is, wow, why do I believe that to be true? And then you might say, well, look at my mom, look at my aunts, look at my grandmother, and you look at that, but you see, if everyone was drinking the same Kool-Aid, so to speak, if everyone was sharing the same story and the same thoughts over and over and over again, and they became a belief, and that belief is so ingrained in you, and you feel it with all your being, what do you think is going to happen? You are going to bring that to fruition. That is going to be what you create, how you create your reality. We create our reality through emotion. And remember, emotion is energy in motion. Everything is energy. You might think that you are this solid human being because you can, like touch yourself and, not go through yourself, but we are all energy. Everything is energy. When you look around you and you realize that everything comes from one source, and that source is infinite. There is an infinite amount of whatever it is that you say you want in your life. So however you want to prosper in your life, it's available to you. Now, when you say, but how can I be more prosperous when I'm looking at my bank account and, I see that it's not what I want it to be, and, I see the bills are piling up. How can I change that? Well, you can't. Nope, you can't. Because you know what? That's what you're concentrating on. That's what you're looking at, and that's what you're feeding yourself. Those are your thoughts that keep entering your mind, and you keep thinking those thoughts over and over and over and over and over again until they finally become a belief, and that belief is so strong within you that you just don't see a way out. You're like, I just don't even see how I could prosper with this. You see, it all starts with you. So when you say, I just don't see how I could be prosperous, I don't see how anything could change in my life, you're actually thinking the opposite of prosper. And the opposite of prosper, that's a contrast, yes? But here's the thing. Contrast is a wonderful thing. Because if we did not know contrast, we would not be able to know what it is that we really want. You think about it. If someone says to you, oh my gosh, I just ate this thing and it's so gross, it's awful, it's nasty. Ugh, this is the most horrible thing I've ever tasted. Here, try this. Tell me what you think, because I just think this is horrible. Now, if someone said that to you, would you put it in your mouth? Would you eat it? No, of course not. You would not. Or maybe you would. Maybe you might think, well, you're ridiculous. Let me see. And then you're both sitting there spitting it out of your mouth. But the thing is, now that is contrast, right? You put it in your mouth. You're like, oh, no, I don't want that. I don't ever want that again. Yeah. Ugh. Now that's contrast. So you have to experience contrast so you know what you don't want. That way you can know what you do want. Right? So if you try something that's salty and you're like, oh, salty, ugh, no, I just don't like salty. And then you try something sweet and you say, ooh, sweet, I like sweet. Yes, okay. So no salty, oh, yes to sweet. Now you know what you want, right? And you concentrate. And then when you go out and you're shopping or going to a restaurant or buying food, you look for sweet because that's what you really like. It's the same with anything else you want to prosper on. What do you want to prosper more of, be more prosperous on in your life? So are you focusing on the prosperity or are you focusing on the lack? And here's how you'll know what you're focusing on. Look around you, because you are attracting to you exactly what you're thinking about, what you're feeling, what you're vibrating, what you're putting out into the universe. And the universe is saying, oh, yes, that's what you're calling for. That's what you're asking for. Here, let us send you more. So living a prosperous life is about understanding, first of all, that you have the power to live a prosperous life. You came here knowing that you are a powerful creator, that you create your reality. But through the course of being born and then when you were raised, depending on how you were raised and how you were taught when you were taught another way of thinking. You were taught to move away from that silliness, like that can't happen. Life is not that easy. Life has got to be hard. Life has got to be frustrating. Life has got to be full of lack. It's not a good thing for you to have too much. Too much makes a person ungrateful or whatever it is that you created a belief around. So the first step to living a prosperous life is to always, always know what you're feeling about any subject. So where are you mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, intellectually, socially? Where are you on any of those levels? Do you want to expand in your prosperity on any of those? If the answer is yes, start with your feelings. You must know what you want so that you stop concentrating on what you don't want. And a great tool for this is to just take a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. And on the left side, you put what you don't want. And on the right side, you put what you do want. And a good example of that is, let's say you're dating and you don't want to date a smoker. So on the left side, you would put, I don't want to date a smoker. And on the right side, you put, I want to date a non-smoker. Now, when you're on your dating site or you're looking around or however it is that you find dates, instead of going out and going, oh man, I do not want a non-smoker. I mean, I do not want a smoker. I do not want a smoker. Because when you're thinking about what you don't want, you will attract that to you because that's where your thoughts, feelings, and emotions are. That's what you're concentrating on. That's where your focus is. It's very, very important to understand this distinction and to understand the contrast between a want and a don't want, because that distinction and knowing the contrast is what will incur the most prosperous life you can ever imagine. If you want some help with this, I encourage you to visit my website at masteringyourbeliefs.com. And only because you watch this video are you getting this offer as well. If you go to masteringyourbeliefs.com/promo, there is a special gift for you just for watching this video if you're ready to be more prosperous in your life, mentally, physically, financially, spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, however you want to prosper, it's yours. In the meantime, this is Nancy Muller, the one and only Life Sensei, saying, ciao for now.